Chief Candido Da Rocha, the billionaire in pre-colonial and pre-independence times. How a barefoot boy from Brazil became Lagos' original titan of trade, and what today's entrepreneurs can still learn from his playbook. Before oil, before Silicon Valley, there was Candido. Long before Nigeria discovered oil, venture capital, or Twitter threads on how I made my first million, there was Chief Candido Da Rocha. No buzzwords. No hype. Just audacious ambition, ruthless discipline, and a nose for opportunity so sharp it could cut glass. Candido Da Rocha was not merely rich. He was pre-colonial billionaire rich. The kind of wealthy that builds cities, reshapes economies, and leaves footprints so deep history still stumbles over them. Series Introduction. It's Monday the 26th of January, 2026. Welcome to the 115th edition of The Entrepreneur. In this series we walk back into history and do a deep dive into the life and entrepreneurial journey of Nigeria's pre-colonial billionaires, Chief Candido Da Rocha. If you are visiting us for the first time, please subscribe, smash the like button, share this video and help us grow our family. If you have already subscribed, then show your support by liking the video and making a comment. Now let's jump right back in. From enslavement to empire. Candido Da Rocha's story does not begin with opportunity. It begins with dispossession. As a young boy in the early 19th century, he was caught in the brutal machinery of the transatlantic slave trade and transported to Brazil. This was not the romanticized adversity often softened by time, but the full, violent erasure of freedom, identity, and choice. For most, this was where ambition ended. For Candido, it was where it hardened. In Brazil, he witnessed an economy far larger and more complex than anything he had known. He observed how plantations were financed, how goods moved through ports, how credit worked, how wealth was stored, displayed, and protected. Even in bondage, he was learning.
Freedom eventually came, but Candido did not simply walk away from his past. He converted experience into advantage. Rather than remain in Brazil, he made a decision that would define his life. He returned to Lagos, the land of his origin, not empty-handed, but mentally armed with global commercial intelligence. This return was radical. Many freed Africans stayed in the Americas, wary of an Africa destabilized by trade and colonial pressure. Candido saw something different. Where others saw chaos, he saw arbitrage. Where others saw risk, he saw room to build. Back in Lagos, Candido arrived with no inherited throne, no colonial backing, and no family empire. What he had was sharper, discipline forged under oppression, cultural fluency across continents, and an understanding of trade that transcended borders. He knew how wealth behaved. He knew where it hid. And crucially, he knew how to make it move. His transformation from enslaved child to commercial titan was not luck. It was strategy, patience, and an almost defiant belief in self-worth. Candido did not merely escape slavery, he rejected the psychological chains that often outlast physical ones. He refused to be defined by what had been done to him. This is what makes his ascent extraordinary. His wealth was not inherited. It was not accidental. It was built deliberately, in a world designed to prevent men like him from succeeding. Candido Da Rocha did not just return home. He returned to dominate. And in doing so, he turned one of history's cruelest beginnings into one of Africa's most enduring entrepreneurial legacies. This was not a comeback story. It was a takeover. The original global citizen. Candido was what we'd now call internationally exposed. Fluent in Portuguese and deeply connected to Brazilian, European, and African trading networks, he understood something many still struggle with today.
He traded in commodities, real estate, shipping, and finance, moving effortlessly between cultures and currencies. In a Lagos still finding its commercial identity, Candido was already playing chess while others learned drafts. Real estate before it was sexy. While many chased quick profits, Candido bought land. And not just any land. He acquired vast properties across Lagos Island, including areas that would later become prime commercial hubs. His most famous development, Waterhouse, stood as both residence and statement, wealth anchored in assets, not applause. Candido understood a timeless truth: land doesn't trend. It endures. Power, prestige, and political capital. Money alone did not make Candido powerful. Influence did. Candido Da Rocha understood a truth many entrepreneurs learn too late: wealth opens doors, but power keeps them open. As his commercial success grew, Candido became more than a merchant. He became a fixture in Lagos power architecture, a man whose voice carried weight in rooms where decisions were made. In a city negotiating its identity between indigenous authority and expanding colonial influence, Candido positioned himself carefully, deliberately, and intelligently. He cultivated relationships across the entire spectrum of power. Traditional rulers respected him because he honored custom, contributed to communal stability, and understood the rhythms of Yoruba society. Colonial administrators engaged him because he was reliable, commercially sophisticated, and indispensable to the local economy. He spoke their language, literally and figuratively, without surrendering his autonomy. This balance was not accidental. Candido never confused access with allegiance. He engaged colonial power structures without becoming dependent on them, and he exercised influence without public grandstanding. In an era when alignment with the wrong authority could destroy both wealth and reputation, Candido chose strategic proximity over blind loyalty.
His conferment as a chief was not ceremonial flattery. It was recognition of his economic importance, social standing, and stabilizing presence within Lagos. Titles, for Candido, were not ornaments, they were instruments. They amplified trust, expanded networks, and institutionalized his influence beyond the lifespan of any single business venture. Perhaps most instructive was his understanding of political capital as an investment, not a shelter. He did not build enterprises that relied on colonial patronage to survive. Instead, his businesses made themselves too useful to ignore. Infrastructure, trade networks, employment, and capital flows tied his success to the city's progress. Candido also grasped the quiet power of reputation. In commercial disputes, negotiations, or community matters, his word carried authority. He was perceived as measured, serious, and dependable. In a volatile economy, this was priceless. Trust became his soft power, and credibility his silent enforcer. In modern terms, Candido mastered stakeholder management long before it had a name. He aligned interests without surrendering control, navigated politics without becoming political, and built influence that outlived shifting regimes. His lesson is sharp and enduring: money makes noise. Power makes decisions. Legacy requires both. Candido Da Rocha did not chase power. He earned it, structured it, and wielded it with restraint. That, more than wealth alone, is what made him untouchable. Philanthropy with backbone. Yes, he was wealthy. But he was also strategic about giving back. Candido invested in infrastructure, supported community development, and helped shape a Lagos that could thrive without him. His generosity was not performative, it was purposeful. Legacy, after all, is philanthropy with foresight.
The Candido Da Rocha Entrepreneurial Playbook. Lessons that still slap in 21st century Nigeria. 1. Think global, act local. Candido leveraged international exposure to dominate local markets. Today's entrepreneurs must do the same: understand the world, but win at home. Lesson: travel if you can. Learn if you can't. Ignorance is the most expensive luxury. 2. Own assets, not just income. Trading made Candido rich. Real estate made him untouchable. Lesson: cash flow feeds you. Assets protect you. 3. Build for decades, not trends. Candido did not chase fads. He built institutions and holdings that outlived him. Lesson: if your business cannot survive you, it's not a legacy, it's a hustle. 4. Network across class and culture. From Brazilian merchants to Lagos royalty, Candido built bridges everywhere. Lesson: your next breakthrough may not speak your language or share your background. 5. Respect power, but don't depend on it. Candido worked with colonial authorities without becoming their puppet. Lesson: engage government strategically. Never build a business that collapses without political favor. 6. Reputation is a currency. Candido was trusted, respected, and taken seriously. Lesson: in Nigeria, credibility can open doors money cannot. Why Candido still matters. Candido Da Rocha's story shatters the lazy myth that African wealth is new, accidental, or borrowed. He proves that Africans have always built wealth intelligently, ethically, and at scale, even under hostile global systems. He did not wait for permission. He did not beg for validation. He built anyway. In an age obsessed with the next big thing, Candido Da Rocha reminds us that foundations matter more than noise. And perhaps the most important lesson of all? History already showed us how to win. We just need to pay attention. Legacy is not what you own. It's what still stands when you're gone.
If you would like to know more, or wish to discuss brand sponsorship of any of our videos on entrepreneurship, please get in touch on any of the social media handles below. All our content is developed from real-life experiences in a professional and entrepreneurial journey that spans across 8 countries and 4 decades. Quote of the week: it's fine to celebrate success, but it is more important to heed the lessons of failure. Bill Gates.